Hello everyone, so this is GS Mains Paper 3, November 2017, Part 3. So let's start. So we have done up until 10 topic, right? So this is the 11th topic, that is Bonn Conference and Emissions Gap Report. Emissions Gap Report will be important from prelims point of view also because they can ask who publishes Emission Gaps Report, right? First of all, let's discuss this particular topic, which can be kept under topic 12, environment, right? See, the thing is, Bonn Conference. Bonn is in, generally people confuse Bonn with Switzerland, but Bonn is in Germany, right? And this is 23rd COP, Conference of Parties, which happened in Bonn. So it was called Bonn Conference, right? And who hold the presidency for it? PG hold the presidency for it. These facts are important from prelims point of view, right? So now let's discuss. See, the thing is, for some countries such as Fiji, which holds the presidency of Bonn Conference, which was the 23rd COP, and other small island states, the future is deeply worrying because of the fear that sea levels may rise sharply due to climate change. And these are the island states who has maximum, who will face maximum repercussions from climate change, right? Or who will face maximum devastation, which will arise because of this global warming, right? So now, recent emissions gap report, which is published by UNEP. What is UNEP? United Nations Environment Program. So United Nations Environment Program publishes emissions gap report. Remember it. So recent emissions gap report from UNEP underscores terrible mismatch between voluntary pledges and what is necessary to keep a rise in global average temperature below 2 degrees Celsius, preferably 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. See, the thing is, what is pre-industrial level? So there is no specific defined definition for pre-industrial levels. These environmentalists or conservationists are still arguing about what is pre-industrial level. So we don't have a definite definition of pre-industrial levels, but you know what is pre-industrial levels? Pre-industrial level means before the advent of industrial revolution, which is again a relative term because industrial revolution happened at different point of time in different European countries. Started in England, started in UK, but then gradually moved, right? So again, pre-industrial level means before the advent of industrial revolution. So that is the whole manda. The thing is, India has committed itself to lowering emission intensity of its GDP by 33 to 35% by 2030 from 2005 level. So what does it mean? What does this lowering emission intensity of its GDP by 33 to 35% by 2030 from 2005 level means? It means whatever emission, in terms of GDP, India was emitting in 2005. So in 2030, that will be less than, means that will be 33 to 35% less than what it was in 2005. It is little difficult to remember, but again, that is the whole meaning of it, right? By some estimates, but the thing is, again, you know, Trump in one of his speech, you know, he's a very outspoken kind of a person, right? So he has said that India is taking funds and everything, and there is some partial truth in it. Why? We'll see. See, the thing is, by some estimates, India has been awarded among the highest levels of multilateral climate funding at $745 million since 2013. So India has got around $745 million from different multilateral climate funding. So that's why whatever Trump was saying, it was not like total false or total in contradiction. But remember, you don't have to write it, but you can just you don't have to write that India just takes money for climate funding and all those things. You just have to give this particular data, because this is not your data. This is a data which is given by different reports, right? So the thing is, what is India's responsibility then? If India is taking $745 million and all those things, they have taken $745 million since 2013, then there has to be some responsibility of our country, right? So India must ensure that states acquire the capacity to absorb such assistance efficiently, and it must invest green technologies across the spectrum of activity, including buildings and transport. So India need to invest whatever funding they are getting, and they have to adopt it quickly, right? Because whatever commitment we have, it is a very ambitious commitment, and we need to act fast if we want to attain these commitments, right? Fine. Now let's talk about, again, this topic is very intriguing because we all know what are the demerits of informal economy. Leads to black money, hoarding, parallel economy, shadow economy. But the thing is, in this particular article, we'll talk about the benefits of informal economy. So it will give you there are two sides of a coin. So it will give you the perspective from other side of the coin, which is very important because very few people know about it. So it can be kept under topic 1, Indian economy, and topic 2, inclusive growth. So let's talk about it. So the thing is, informal economy not only includes tax evaders, but also supports the livelihoods of millions of workers who have no opportunities in formal economy. And what are those workers? They are roadside vendors, from where we eat fuchka, gupchup and all those stuffs, roadside vendors, marginal farmers, construction workers, cobblers, artisans, fishermen, etc. So these are all part of informal economy, right? Now 2009 OECD study. Now what is OECD, right? So it is an intergovernmental economic organization which has 35 members. Most of the members are very high, means highly developed, high income, they have a high HDI, Human Development Index, right? And its headquarters is in Paris. So remember, OECD's headquarters becomes important from Prelims point of view. It has its headquarters in Paris, right? Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development. So 2009 OECD study on informal economy concluded that enforcing formality can be counterproductive and lead to an increase in poverty. So you cannot impose formality. Right now we are saying that GST will bring formalization. It will bring informal economy into formal economy to a certain extent, but you cannot impose it. It has to happen in a gradual manner, right? So that is what OECD study is saying. Now, persistence of informal economy is a global phenomenon. It's not an Indian phenomenon. It's not like only India has an informal economy. It's a global phenomenon, and the shadow economy is estimated to be approximately 23% of world GDP. In many countries, employment in informal sector is growing faster than in formal sector, even in our country also, right? So the thing is, what is the basic gist of this article? So the basic gist is we need to be open to the idea that informal is not abnormal, it is normal and it is here to stay, right? So these are the positive aspects you can talk about, right? You can talk about the OECD study, you can talk about the percentage of shadow economy, you can talk about the livelihood opportunities it presents, right? So it's not all bad, there are certain positive aspects to it as well, right? Fine. And one more very important thing from this article is that formalization should not be enforced, it should be gradual. Okay, now let's talk about, we have talked about Bonn conference. Now this is Bonn challenge commitment, which is different. Then we'll talk about ROAM, that is restoration opportunities assessment methodology. We'll talk about it in detail. So this is topic to our environment, right? I think is in 2015, India made a Bonn challenge commitment to place into restoration 13 million hectares, that is MHA, of degraded land by it will restore 13 million hectares of degraded land by 2020 and an additional 8 million hectares by 2030, right? This is again a part of the commitment which India did, right? So restoration of degraded land is important, right? So again, and India's NDC, that is nationally determined contribution or commitments, nationally determined INDC, intended nationally determined contributions, right? So India's NDC have placed to India's NDC have pledged to sequester 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent, right? Additionally by 2030 through enhanced tree cover. Now what is carbon sequestration? So this is a long-term storage of CO2 or other forms of carbon to either mitigate or defer global warming, right? So this is carbon sequestration. You capture or you store carbon CO2 in via different ways, right? So you can see a figure of it on Wikipedia, very nice figure. In simple words, it is just storage or fixing of CO2 to mitigate or defer the effect of global warming. So that is carbon sequestration, and India has also pledged about to sequester 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent by 2030. So India's generally commitments, we have seen one commitment in the first article, right, 11th article, right, and we are seeing the second commitment. If you are analyzing it, you will see that all the commitments has a deadline of 2030. So India has taken an extended period, right? It has an ample period right now, 12 to 13 years, right, in which they have to attain its commitments, right? So that is the whole thing. Now, what is ROAM? What is Restoration Opportunities Assessment Methodology? It is a tool which has been used in 40 countries to find the best methods for landscape restoration. In India, this tool is being piloted in Uttarakhand and Madhya Pradesh. So India needs to design its tree-based programs better to meet climate goals. It's not like only plantation will help. We have to think of other ways also, right? So only plantation drive which is happening in Madhya Pradesh and UP will not help, right? We have to think about other ways, and in that area, ROAM will come into picture, right? ROAM. Fine. Now let's talk about, is violence necessary for revolutionary change? We all know the answer, but why this particular topic is in news is because of the Maoist occupancy. So 30 years of Maoist occupation in India's backward regions haven't brought any remarkable progress there. And inhabitants in these regions continue to be malnourished and face high levels of infant mortality and illiteracy. I have talked about Red Corridor, right? I have talked about all those things. So do go through all the previous videos, you will understand. Means everybody knows all these things about it. But if you want to have a revision, right? So again, if you want to have a revision, just search for Maoist. If you want to have revision for my videos, just search for Maoist occupancy and all those things. You will get all those videos and revise it. So 30 years has passed, right? But the thing is, inhabitants in these regions continue to be malnourished and face high levels of infant mortality and illiteracy, right? Now the thing is, this raises a question because Maoist occupation is there, they have a certain demand, but Is violence necessary for revolutionary change in a democracy? So that is the question, right? What have they gained? What have they gained in these 30 years if the people who are residing in those parts of the country are still malnourished and they are facing infant mortality and illiteracy, right? So they are not achieving anything by such kind of occupancy, right? So that is the main question, whether they are doing or whether violence was necessary for such kind of revolutionary change. Fine. Now there are certain one-liners, so let's talk about smog in Delhi. So it remains in news all the time, right? We will not cover each and everything, but there are certain important things which are necessary to cover. So let's cover it. So smog that envelops the Delhi is exacerbated by the burning of biomass in Punjab and Haryana, and the winter atmosphere is marked by weak ventilation related to geography, right? Cold air is downward, so means what do you say? In summer, warm air goes up and it gets dispersed. That dispersal is not happening in winter. So because of that, we have a weak ventilation, and that's why smog is persisting, right? But the thing is, what is the solution? We always say that burning of biomass is an issue, but again, construction dust, vehicular pollution, all these things are also there. And there was a recent article where they were saying that in Delhi has a population of 18 million, and we have around 10 million cars in Delhi, which is owned by 10 to 12% of the population, right? So single means families holding multiple cars, which won't serve the purpose, right? China has promoted public transport, which has to be done in our case also, right? So a comprehensive solution demands that government of Delhi, Punjab, Haryana and UP, assisted by the center, addresses farm residue burning, right? That is a very persistent issue, right? Going on and on and on. And construction dust. So it's not like only farm residue burning. Construction dust is also a big issue, and it has also to be, it doesn't come into limelight too much, right? But construction dust is also an issue. What are the other measures? The other measure is to promote public transport as done by China to reduce exposure to PM 2.5, particulate matter 2.5. So that can also be done, right? So that was about smog in Delhi. Warsaw Convention is related to civil aviation, right? Topic 9, infrastructure. So Warsaw Convention is related to civil aviation, right? It determines what kind of behavior, or whether your luggage is, if you're going in an international flight and your luggages and everything are getting, what do you say? You're losing it, then Warsaw Convention will deal all these things to a certain extent, right? So that is Warsaw Convention, civil aviation. Remember it, important from prelims point of view, right? Fine. And Kashmiri militancy. So there was a very important line which was written somewhere. I noted it down. You can refer it if you want to. What is the line? The line is, in Kashmir, militancy is a black hole that sucks in young stars, right? So we have seen a footballer who was sucked into militancy, right? But he has gone back, right? So that was a very good initiative, or that was a very welcome, what do you say, change for our army, right? That a footballer has come back and all those things. So Kashmiri militancy is a black hole. In Kashmir, militancy is a black hole that sucks in young stars, and we have to, what do you say, get rid of this black hole that is not serving our purpose or military's purpose, right? So that is the whole thing. Fine. So this was all about part 3. I think there will be 2 or 3 more parts, and then we'll be done for GS Mains Paper 3, and then we'll move on to GS Mains Paper 1 November edition, because that is also done. Thank you.